Hey guys, this is Locke. Today I'm going to be doing a video about how to manipulate your AI to do what you want it to do. First of all, I'm going to start with a story telling you my experience about something that I was trying to do. So this was the team that I used to do the trials, and part of what this team was doing was I had my Yuna. She was set to Green Mage to cast Imperil on the boss. The Imperil, what this does is it reduces elemental resist by 25%, making basically all of your attacks do 25% more damage. And this was great. And I got her to use it on the first turn. Like on her first turn, she would run up and cast it. So this was working perfectly. At some point, I decided, you know what? Let me try changing Titus's passives from what was it? From You Gotta Score to Blade Soul, because Blade Soul increases attack by I think 25% more. So I thought, okay, you know what? Let me try this. Let me see how it goes. Maybe he will do even more damage. I wanted to see. So I did this, and guess what? This is all I changed. I didn't change any of the agility values in anyone else. I didn't change any cards, but for some reason, my Yuna didn't cast Imperil anymore. She started casting this skill. She went to the boss and cast Sonic Wings, which I didn't understand why. So I tried the run again and I turned the skill off. And then you know what she did? She casted uh, her her TMR ability. So in this case, Luna Werf. Again, I didn't understand, so I turned that off and tried again. And then she decided to cast her full life. I don't know. I don't know why. So I had to turn that off, and then I tried again. I already had like enhanced holy and stuff turned off from before. I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm not doing the trials anymore. That's why I have all these on. But I turned full life off and tried again, and this time she just walked up. She didn't cast any skills. She just walked up, and she wasn't in range to hit the boss. So she just walked up and ended her turn. The next turn came around. She went up and hit the boss with a basic attack. The next turn, then she cast Imperil. I I can't explain that. I don't know why she did that, but that's what she did. And the reason I'm telling you the story is to tell you that the AI is sometimes just so stupid. It's just so hard to predict what it would do. So regardless of the amount of planning and prep that you do, you really have to test it out to really know what the AI is going to do, because in your head it might work very well, but in practice it like the AI might just do unpredictable things. Sometimes you can figure out why it does the things it does. Other times you don't really know. Like you have to test it out and say, okay, this is what it's doing. So I guess I have to change something else. So there's a good and bad side to the AI being so finicky. The bad side is obviously that it's unpredictable and you have to keep changing. The good side to the AI being finicky is that if it's not to do, you can try changing like things around and maybe it'll do what you want it to do, right? Because like in this case, I changed Titus's passive and Yuna is affected for some reason. So like that's something you can that's something something to keep in mind. Just try things around, see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, uh, you know try something else. Like keep trying, I guess. So that's my story. Now I'm going to actually get into how I am, how I think about what I want the AI to do. So first of all, I'm going to go into some basics. So let me start with what can I use? Maybe I'll use this. Okay, so some basics. This is about Arena. I'm mostly talking about Arena with AI manipulation. With PvE, I mean, and get things to work. With PvP, with Arena, I think there are a few basic rules you can follow. So I will start with a team like this: tank, and a DPS. Maybe I'll use Titus. Okay, so basically the AI can move one of two ways really. A unit will either move front or they will move to the side, and it might be left or right side, but to one of the sides. So if I want the unit to move to the side, I always make sure that I have one of the skills equipped that it would target a unit next to you, like cheer, for example. So if I have this on, and I turn off other things that he might prioritize, like for example, I know Titus is AI, and I know that Titus will want to cast Saintly Wall before he casts Cheer. So if I want Titus to not move up, if I want Titus to move to the side, I have to leave Saintly Wall off. You kind of just learn that from trial and error, and the more experience you get, you kind of learn each unit's AI. So I have to turn Saintly Wall off, and then I turn Cheer on. Hastega, it's a bit more complicated. I will get into that when I'm talking about Sakura later on. But Cheer, so I know he will move to the left and he will cast Cheer on Warrior of Light. Typically for DPSs, unless they have a very long range or if they're slow and I'm expecting the enemy to come up, I don't really want them to go forward. I want them to go to the side so that they don't get attacked by other units and killed right away. Unless they're built so tanky and so beefy that I know that they'll be able to take like 2-3 hits or something. But in this case, I want Titus to move to the left, so I have him equipped with Cheer. Now, Warrior of Light, I want him to move forward. I don't want him to move to the sides. So I'm not going to give him any skills that can target a unit adjacent to him. So for example, not this one, like I think under Spellblade he has Resist Magic. So if I leave Resist Magic on and I leave him a Spellblade, he might actually just move towards Titus and cast Resist Magic. And I don't want him to do that. I want him to move forward. And the reason I want him to move forward is because I want enemies to target him, because I want him to be in range of enemies' attacks. That is the point of a tank. That's why I'm using him as a tank, right? Because if they don't target him, if they're just kind of like if my team is running around buffing themselves, my enemies might get a double turn, because every turn they don't use an ability, they save 20 CT. And that might be detrimental for me. So I don't want to do that. So that's why I always have my tanks move forward. So that's why I will give him a skill like Brave Presence. Brave Presence, he targets himself and then he moves forward, because I mean he's not targeting anyone else, so he will go towards the enemy. So if I have a team like this, it doesn't matter who I put here, a team like this. So if Titus is going first, you might wonder, is he going to go towards Warrior of Light or is he going to go towards Elsa? Like, who would he go towards to cast his cheer buff? How the game is set up is that units will always want to target the unit to the left side in slot 1. So regardless of where my units are positioned, if Titus has an option to go towards Warrior of Light or Elsa, he will always try to go towards Warrior of Light to buff him, because that's the priority. If for some reason he cannot target Warrior of Light, then he will go towards Elsa, because that is how the game is set up. If you can't go towards unit in slot 1, then go to the unit in slot 2, then go to the unit in slot 3. So if instead of cheer, if he had something like this, Victory Ribbon, what this does is it gets a single target buff that you can target to units that are 4 spaces away. And suppose I turned off cheer and I gave him this item instead. And Warrior of Light is out of range, so he can either cast it on himself or he can cast it on Elsa. He will choose to cast it on himself, because he is slot priority number 2. With cheer, he will, if Elsa is in range, he will run towards Elsa and cast cheer, because he can target both himself and Elsa with it. So that's the difference between cheer, like an AoE ability and an ability that he can cast on himself. It would always be priority slot 1, next slot 2, next slot 3. And if it so happens that he targets himself with the TMR ability, he will not go to the sides, he will go forward. Now that is unique to some units. Titus has the AI that after he's finished buffing, he will try to go towards the enemy. A unit like Yuna, for example, does not have that AI. She, like for example, when she casts Re-Raise on anybody, herself or another unit, once she starts casting, she will not go forward. She will stand still, because her AI is programmed so that she doesn't want to get into the fray. She wants to hang back as much as possible. So those are some of the basics. One other basic tip I can give you is that you can't always predict the path of the unit, because not only is it determined by your status. It's also like, what I mean by status is like, you want to go towards slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. You also are affected by a statistic called hate. So if I wanted Titus not to go towards Warrior of Light, but to go towards Elsa, I would have to increase her hate. And I can do that by giving her this card, which increases hate by 5. So that overrides the preference to go to the slot 1 unit. Now he will go towards the slot 3 unit because that slot 3 unit has hate. Another thing is that, so for example, in this setup, let's remove that. Titus is going first, and let's say that Warrior of Light is out of range for Titus to cast the spell, to cast his TMR. So Titus can cast it on himself or Elsa. He will use his TMR ability to cast it on himself, but where does he go? Does he go forward towards the enemy in slot 2, or towards the enemy in slot 1, or enemy in slot 3? In this case, it also depends on the enemy's hate too, because whichever position your enemy in that has the most hate is where your units would go. So if you're fighting against enemies that have this card, expect your units to always try to go towards them right at the beginning of the match, because those are the two things that affect how your units will act. Both positions like slot 1, slot 2, or slot 3 of where units are placed, the hate values, and also the enemy's hate values as well. So now that we have covered the basics, I'm going to go into a actual creation of a team, which I'm going to try it in Arena. So I haven't yet tried this out in Arena to see how they actually work. So it might not work. It might totally screw up. But these are my thoughts. So right now, I am trying to make Titus into an anti-light unit. And to do that, I've given him Demon Wall with 25% light resist. I've given him Tancred's armor, which gives him 15% light resist. And I've given him the Alexandrite ring, which increases all element resist by 5%. So in total, he has 40% light resist. And on top of that, I want Sakura to use her skill, which is Thunderous Protection, which increases light resist by another 25%. So that would give him 65% light resist. So I'm trying to figure out how to make the AI do that. And so far, I think this would work, but I'm not sure yet. I have to try it out. But the reason I think it'll work is because I have him as slower. Wait, no, he should be faster. Why is he slower? Yeah, he should be faster than Sakura for this to work. So I need to increase his speed, or I need to decrease Sakura's speed. Oh, I understand why. Because I think I changed his agility. Yeah. So now his agility is 86. Sakura's agility is also 86, but his base agility is higher than Sakura's. So his base agility is at 59, while Sakura's is at 53. So I think he should go first. And I have cheer enabled, so I think he will go towards Sakura and buffer with cheer. And then I hope Sakura kind of either stays still or walks a little bit and buffs both of them with the buff that I want. So to ensure that she does that, I have to turn off the other buffs that she has. So let me take a look to see what else I have enabled right now. So I have to turn off nimble movement. I don't think she would actually do that, but you never know, right? Like I think she would prefer to cast Thunder's Light over nimble movement, but just to ensure that she does this, I'm gonna turn it off. And I also want Yuna to cast her re-race on Titus. So I'm going to make her faster so that she's able to cast before Titus moves, and she kind of stays still and stands back. I don't need Emerald Echo. I want that one. And I want to... This one isn't bad. It's not bad to leave this on, but I think I kind of want her to start walking towards the enemies, so I will leave that on. I will leave that off, I mean. we'll also leave this off as well. Okay, so I kind of have my team set up, but before I go into arena, because I might waste orbs anyway, but just as a second test, this is what I do before I take them into arena. I always go to this stage because it's easy for me to set up. Chapter 4, Scene 2, good idea. And I turn on initial placement and embark. And once it loads up, I will kind of try to keep my units the same distance as they are in arena. Usually in arena, like for example the previous map, this is how units were positioned. They were only one space away. But because of like in this one, everyone is 2 spaces away, I'm kind of moving people like this to kind of get the same effect. All I'm doing here is I just want to make sure that all the units are working as is. Like, for example, Sakura is able to cast her resistance buff. Maybe people will be out of the way or something. I don't know. I just want to make sure. So this is the second test I do. And here I think you can also see why. Okay, so this is exactly what I meant. I assumed that Titus would go before Sakura, but that's not the case. So that's good to know. So this is not going to work. So I'll have to go back to the drawing board to figure out why it's not working, and find a way to increase Titus's speed by at least 1. So let's see what I can do. This is what I mean. Like, I probably would have wasted an arena orb just to fiddle around with this. I might have to give him boots, so it might decrease his resistance by 5 from what it is. I might have to give him this because I can't think of any other way right now. So his resistance is going to be 35 instead of 40, but his agility is going to be 92, which is higher than hers. So to increase her agility even more, I'm going to give her this one, Bewitching Boots. So let's try this again. Hopefully it works this time. And I'll also talk about why I leave Hastega off with Titus as I do this, because I can show you an example. So again, setting up the same way, leave everybody 3 spaces apart. Alright, so Titus goes here. Oops. Titus goes here, Yuna goes here. Alright, so hopefully the turn order works out better. So Yuna starts first. She's in position to cast Re-Raise on Titus, and she stands still. Now Titus, so I was talking about why I leave Hastega off. So if I start casting Hastega, he's going to finish when Sakura is... Sakura already gets to go before he finishes. So he will probably not cast Hastega because of... it wouldn't affect her, right? So he might end up casting Cheer anyway if that's on, or he might walk towards the enemy if I don't have Cheer on. Like, he might use his TMR buff and go towards the enemy because he can't cast Hastega on anybody else. So that's why I left this off. If I really wanted to use Hastega, I could have actually left Yuna where Sakura is, so that he would have gone towards Yuna on slot 1 and casted this, and that would finish before Yuna's next turn comes up. So I could do that, but anyway, right now I have him doing something like this. He will probably stand 1 space away and cast Cheer, or he will stand 2 spaces away and cast Cheer. Let's assume that he does this. Now Sakura can move 3 spaces, so she can move like this, or she can move like this. But either way, she will cast, hopefully, Thunder's Protection, and Titus is in range to receive it, regardless of where she goes. And she also finishes casting before Titus gets to move again. So I think this will work, but again, I really don't know until I try it out in the arena. So let's try it out. And I might lose this match. I don't know how it's going to go. One other thing I have to keep in mind is that if my enemies go before I go, then for example, if whoever's across from Sakura goes before Sakura does, then and they move up, then Sakura might just move towards them and attack. So Titus might not get that buff, right? So there are a lot of things to keep in mind, and really the best way to learn is just trial and error. Oh, I forgot to set my team. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. And let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. I might not win. All I'm trying to figure out is that the first few turns, like basically the first turn goes exactly as I want it to. I'm trying to fight a light team like this one. I want to make sure that my enemy Sakura is slower than my Sakura. Okay, 87 speed. What does she have? She has Purify. So I don't know if this Sakura is going to go before my Sakura or not. Let me see if I can find another one. Looking at just light teams. Anytime now. Just light teams. Okay, let's try this Sakura. She's 86, whereas my Sakura is also 86. Let's take a look to see what she has. Okay, so she has Luna Verve, so I'm assuming she's gonna go towards the enemies, like towards Warrior of Light and cast Luna Verve, so she's not gonna go towards me. So I think I can get my AI to do as I wanted to for this fight. Let's take a look. Let's see how it goes. Some of the other videos I've done, like I showcase some of the things, but like I've often failed like 3 or 4 times before like the first one works. Um, so it's really hard to get it to do exactly what you want it to. Um, the only one where like right away I got it to do what I wanted to was the Gilgamesh showcase because he's just crazy. So well, it my team did kind of what they wanted to do. I got the first turn to work. Um, let's see how the rest of this goes. I might not win this fight, but let's just watch anyway. The idea is that Titus is maybe able to solo all four of them. Oh, not all four of them, all three of them, because he's just crazy and he has a lot of damage because he has the water light card. And he has 65% resist right now. Yeah, 65% light resist, but maybe that's not enough. So yeah, that's not working. He's not gonna win. Well, yeah, this team didn't really work out, but it did what I wanted it to do. Like all I wanted this AI to do was to make sure that Sakura was able to cast Thunder's Light on Titus and build that 65% light resist on was it 65 or 60? She started with 35 plus 25, so that's 35, 45, 50. Yeah, it's 60. So he had 60 light resist, but that wasn't enough. But that was the point that I was trying to make. That was the goal that I was trying to make here, and it worked. So that is how like those are some tips for AI manipulation. I hope it helps. Remember, it's very difficult to get this to work just because of how finicky the AI is. You have to fiddle around with it. You probably are going to fail many times, but eventually you'll hopefully get something to work. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. Until next time, take care.